you all on our portfolio committee meeting of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. I want to welcome the Honorable Minister, Mahmoud Didiza, the Deputy Ministers of the department, the Honorable Squatcher and the Honorable Kapa. Allow me to also welcome the DG, Tate Ramasodi, and officials of the department. Honorable members, we requested from the minister and the department for them to come before the committee and give us a briefing on the deliberations and recommendations of the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture. I must also put it to the committee that we had invited the chairperson of Ingonyama Trust Board, as well as the officials of the ITB, who tendered their apology, honorable members, stating that they had been only come in as a board on the 21st of May. They have requested to be given a period of 2 months so that they could be able to settle in and get into the affairs of the ITB before they are able to come before the committee and present. We therefore will have the presentation from the Honorable Minister and the department, and then deal with the adoption of our Mpumalanga Oversight Report. We also have a set of minutes that we will need to get through in today's meeting for adoption. With that said, honorable members, good morning to all of you and all the officials of the department as led by the executive and the honorable minister. Allow me, honorable members, to invite the honorable minister to have opening remarks and invite the department to present before the committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Kosi Zwelvelile Mandela. And thank you to the members of the Portfolio Committee present, as well as senior officials. The Deputy Ministers also present, I recognize you, my colleagues. Just to indicate, Chairperson, that we have got 2 presentations. The other one that was circulated on Friday deals with matters of the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Rural Development that is chaired by the Deputy President. And we have given that detail so that we appraise members about the work of that committee and also what its tasks are and progress that has been made thus far. But you'd recall, honorable members, that there was a matter that had not been finalized relating to the Interministerial Task Team on Ingonyama Trust that was set up by President Ramaphosa in 2019. So, Chairperson, with your indulgence, I will deal with the task team report and apologize to the members that we circulated that only this morning, owing to a little bit of a misunderstanding on our part as to what was really requested. So I hope you will accept our apology and don't take it that we did not honor our promise that we'll try and circulate all documentation a Friday before the portfolio committee sits on a Tuesday. Chairperson, if I may start, and I will ask Ralph or Secretariat to actually flight the Interministerial Task Team report on Ingonyama Trust. Thank you very much, Chairperson. On the background, we indicate what occasioned really the setting up of that task team by the President. You will recall that in 2017, the high-level panel on assessment of key legislation and acceleration of fundamental change published a report that, among other things, was critical of Ingonyama Trust and the institutions of traditional leadership in general, That high panel report is commonly known as the Motlanthe report. During the year 2019, there was a heightened public discourse on a policy recommendation regarding the possible expropriation of land without compensation. In view of the high-level panel's recommendation regarding possible repeal of Ingonyama Trust, there was then a suspicion among traditional leaders in KwaZulu-Natal in particular that there was a link between the high-level panel's recommendation and the possible expropriation of Ingonyama Trust land without compensation. This led to a brief meeting between King Zwelithini and President Ramaphosa, where they agreed for further engagement. The president then established an interministerial task team comprising of a few cabinet ministers and the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal to take preliminary discussion with the king going forward in preparation of their meeting with the president. The purpose, therefore, of the task team was to prepare for the meeting of President Ramaphosa and the then Isilo King Zwelithini Kapegizulu. The preparations included addressing concerns that had been raised regarding a supposed government position with respect to the Ingonyama Trust. The interministerial task team then, in its meeting, noted that the issues that had been raised in relation to Ingonyama Trust were actually broader issues of land tenure and land administration that had become unnecessarily politicized. I'm sorry for the spelling mistake there, colleagues, accept my apology. The view that the interministerial task team had was that government needed to initiate a macro policy and legislative review that would culminate in the promulgation of the law that will improve security of tenure across the country. And this is the process, Honorable Chairperson, that had been led by the three deputy ministers, Minister Skwatsha, Minister Bapela, and Minister John Jeffries from Justice, which really had done a lot of work that culminated to the summit that took place last year, which really was looking at the issue of land tenure in general, but more specifically communal land tenure, which, as we know, is not yet codified. In as far as Ingonyama Trust appeared to experience governance-related challenges, the IMT took the view that the supervising department, which is this Department of Agricultural Land Reform and Rural Development, had to help Ingonyama Trust to deal with such challenges. And in the view of the Interministerial Committee, therefore, their view was that Ingonyama Trust matters should not be part of the Interministerial Task Team agenda, whose task was to prepare for a meeting. The ministers initiated consultation with Isilo and other relevant parties regarding possible appointment of an interim board in 2020, as you would recall, that at the time there were vacancies, but also the board's term was coming to an end. So what the department did was to then address the issues of governance and administration, as we all know that the portfolio committee itself had been concerned about those matters. So in as far as the interministerial task team, the Ingonyama Trust matters did not therefore become part of the agenda of the preparatory meeting between the king and the president. You'd recall that after the appointment of the interim committee, which we agreed on with Isilo Samabandla and the Premier of the KwaZulu-Natal and the Chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders, we then met with the board, had about 2 workshops with them to ensure, firstly, the common understanding on its mandate. During the course of interaction with the board, certain matters of concern were identified, which we felt the board needed to address. One of those related to litigation matters, as we know. There were issues of litigation against the trust arising out of a PTO conversion project of the board, which resulted in holders of permission to occupy converting their tenure rights into leases. Though there were some disputes about the existence of a conversion project, however, there are people who felt so strongly that they were then coerced and therefore supported the litigation against the board and the trust. And as you know, that matter was known as the CASA case against Ingonyama Trust. Ingonyama Trust then lost that case on the 11th of June 2021, despite the ministers advising the board to accept the outcome and therefore implement the judgment. The board, as a juristic person, decided to appeal. Ingonyama Trust noted an appeal to the Natal Division of the High Court in Pietermaritzburg in July 2021. And the Ingonyama Trust application for leave to appeal was based on about 35 legal grounds. One of those grounds was of the effect that two judges, Judge Matondo and Judge Nguni, who presided on this matter, should have recused themselves. In May 2022, the High Court granted Ingonyama Trust leave to appeal against the entire judgment on the basis of all the ordinary legal grounds of appeal that were advanced by the trust, except the recusal ground. In June 22, Ingonyama Trust submitted an appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal based on all the grounds that the High Court had accepted. It also launched a separate application for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court on the recusal ground that was rejected by the High Court. If Ingonyama Trust had succeeded on the recusal ground, the effect would have been that the High Court proceeding would be nullified and the matter would be heard from scratch by the High Court. This possibly necessitated that the leave to appeal application be dealt with first by the Supreme Court of Appeal. In August 22 last year, the Supreme Court of Appeal dismissed Ingonyama Trust application for leave to appeal on the recusal ground part. This does not impact in the main application where Ingonyama Trust was granted leave to appeal based on ordinary legal grounds of appeal. And the said application is still in the Supreme Court of Appeal. We have not yet received any judgment in that respect. September 22, Ingonyama Trust approached the Constitutional Court for leave of appeal against the order of the Supreme Court appeal on the recusal ground. And this application was dismissed by the Constitutional Court on the 17th of November 22. This dismissal only brings an end to the recusal grounds appeal. However, the other matters of legal ground in the Supreme Court still stand. The attention will now turn on the appeal in the Supreme Court of Appeal, which is still to be heard. So this was one matter that in the engagement became clear that is one of the areas of concern that we hope through the final appeal will be put to rest. On the other matters of concern related to the instability at HR level, you would recall, honorable members, that there was suspension of senior management between January and July 2022, which also ended up in the CCMA process, where it resulted the CCMA, granting its judgment in favor of the managers who then had to return to work. There are about 7 other staff members that were suspended, which led to the capacity issues. 6 of these officials has been on suspension for about 5 years. They were eventually brought back in December 2021. I must also indicate, Chairperson, that it was at that time when the ministry and the department decided to actually beef up the support in the Ingonyama Trust, particularly in the financial management area. The other matter of concern which we raised with the board related to the disbursement of funds to beneficial communities, again, this is a matter which the committee is well alive to. The minister and department impressed upon the board, as we have done even on this new board, on developing a clear policy on disbursement to communities. And I must indicate that one of the issues that when we engaged with the board at the time that was raised, but there was no agreement amongst the board on the interpretation, was that the then chairperson of the board felt what was a hindrance on the disbursement was the challenge of the jurisdiction of the then tribal authorities as they were set up when Ingonyama Trust was set up, and the traditional councils as they were formed after the Municipal Structures Act. So we have impressed again upon the board that it is important to deal with this matter expeditiously because it affects the transfer of resources to the beneficial community. The other matter was relating to the transfer of R2393 township. These are the townships which fell under Ingonyama, rather let me say, under the KwaZulu government at the time, and some of which fell within the land that was then consolidated as part of Ingonyama Trust. And there was a decision that actually these townships must be handed back over so that they are dealt with by a normal township in terms of our municipal structures legislation. And we feel these are the matters that the board must actually conclude working with the KwaZulu-Natal COGTA, Ministry and Department, as well as the Human Settlement. In our view, the board will have to re-establish lines of communication and deal with these matters together with the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. The other matter related to the surveying of Ingonyama Trust land and how surveyors general can assist the conclusion of the process. Most of the IT land is surveyed and the department has committed itself to provide assistance in the event of necessity. We're raising these matters because you'll recall, Honorable Chair, time and again, this is the matter that the chairperson of the board had raised as one of the matter which takes resources of the board because they have to appoint surveyors. And our view has been, these are the matters which the board should have engaged the department on in terms of assistance to deal with these matters expeditiously. Other matters of concern related to financial management and budgeting. In our view, capacity was made to the ITB to assist them, particularly in the form of an acting CFO, which has resulted in the board obtaining unqualified audit outcomes for the first time for 2 financial years in succession. Also, we felt that the organizational structural issues that manifest themselves as budgetary issues came out and have been identified for the board to redesign the necessary interventions. On Ingonyama Holdings, which is another matter of concern, in 2019, Ingonyama Trust incorporated an entity that will operate as its commercial wing. The role of Ingonyama Holdings was unclear at the time whether it would play a role in the disbursement of benefits to trust beneficiaries. It has now emerged that there are accountability issues in relation to this entity, and the new board will have to deal with these matters because, in our view, if this entity has been a creation of the trust, it must therefore account to the trust and, by implication, to Parliament about its functionality. And this brings us to where we are, Chairperson, in terms of the progress thus far, having indicated what we have done about some of the issues and what issues still need to be dealt with going forward by the board. We have reached a stage following the nomination and appointment of Isilo and its recognition by government, Isilo Samabandla King Misizu. We started the consultation in October with the King, the Premier, as well as the Chairperson of the Provincial House of KwaZulu-Natal for the appointment of the board to ensure that the board is able to deal with the matters on their table. And the names that are put are the full board members that have now been announced. And I want to indicate to the Chairperson that this board has actually been accepted by both the King, the chair of the traditional House of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the Premier. So it is a board that will now take the matters of Ingonyama Trust, both in terms of its governance and administration going forward. This brings us to the end of this report to you and the briefing Chairperson relating to how the IMT actually dealt with the matters of Ingonyama Trust. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Mamu Togo Titiza. Honorable members, There is the presentation on the work of the IMT in terms of Ingonyama Trust Board. We'll now open the sessions to questions of clarity or comments. Honorable Tape. The Honorable Metlape. The Honorable Tate Masipa.
Good morning, Chairperson, and thank you for the opportunity to engage the report. Good morning, Minister, Deputy Ministers that are present here and fellow colleagues. Chair, my first just concern is to raise a concern to the Minister around the presentations that are always coming late. Because this is not the first time, Chair, that we are receiving presentation just the day of the presentation. I think it's really very important that in the future, really, this thing, we really address it once again, Chair. We haven't really had much time to really engage thoroughly on this particular presentation because, I mean, the previous presentation that was sent was basically just talking about what the IMC needs to do. But Chair, I don't have really much. There are a few questions that I just seek clarity around. I just want to know, the Minister talked about the IMC Interministerial Committee. I just want to know who are these ministers and what role did they play so far? Because all I'm seeing in this particular presentation as such is that it's only COCTA, the Premier, and obviously our minister in this report. These are the highlighted ministers in this particular report. The second thing, I know the minister is talking about the issue with regards to, let me just go to the presentation quickly. Give me a few seconds, Chair. With regards to Ingonyama Trust Incorporated and Ingonyama Holdings. The minister obviously indicates in the last line, it has now emerged that there are accountability issues in relation to this entity and the new board will have to deal with these issues. I would want to know if the minister has got a view around this particular entities which she might have shared with the Ingonyama Trust, what her thoughts are around that, because I think we have been grappling around the creation of these entities. On the issue of financial management, if I may just sponsor also the question. If members will recall that during the appearance of Ingonyama Trust, they've always raised concerns about, the allocation that the Parliament is providing, and obviously the issue of not having enough funds to administer their work and so forth and so forth. So I just want to know how did the interventions from the interministerial team work around those issues that relates to the budget allocation from the Parliament. As you know, colleagues, that the real issue here has been that why the Ingonyama Trust did not want to kind of, if I have to call it, account on the money that they were collecting from the rentals and so forth, is that the Parliament is only giving what I think at the time we're talking about 23, 24 million. I just want to know as to how the interministerial team work around to address that particular issue, because it was definitely a thorny issue with regards to Ingonyama Trust Board. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Ntate Masipa. The Honorable Baukapa.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Chair. Good morning to Minister and Deputy Ministers and the officials of the department, my colleagues. I greet you all. And first of all, let me welcome and appreciate the presentation that has been done by Honorable Minister. And also on the same note, I'm tempted to understand somehow the latest presentation of presentation on the basis of some misunderstanding in the actual required report. Otherwise, I'm happy and comfortable that the report has been presented, and I thank you, Minister, and I've got no comment, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tapa. The Honorable Ntate Matiase.
Good morning, Honorable Chair Dalibog Adeba, and greetings to the Minister and Deputy Ministers and fellow colleagues in the Portfolio Committee. Look, Honorable Chair, I wanted to echo the same views expressed by Honorable Masipa, that it will seem that there are two reports that were meant for this discussion. And the first report was circulated, and the presentation presented by the minister was not circulated. We don't have a copy of it. Clearly, the first report was a decoy. I think the minister was an underground operative. If she was old enough, then she will know what a decoy is. The first report is a decoy, was meant to distract us, to make us focus on something which will not be presented in this meeting. Boom, we're presented with the real report, presented by the minister. Is it fair, Honorable Chair? I don't think it's fair. What contribution are we going to make when we're made to read an old syllabus which has been phased out, and we're not being told that a new syllabus will be presented, and therefore we as learners must expect a new syllabus. Now we're presented with a complete new syllabus, which we have not prepared for. And we're made to write a test or an examination. Do you expect us to do well in the examination? I don't think that we can do well. So what is what here? What are we being taken for? When we raise these questions and expose these failures, we are seen as troublemakers. That's the first point, Honorable Chair. And therefore, I'm of a view that and this committee must consider the proposal seriously. That we've been set up to debate something which were not be made to be prepared to debate or to discuss. And we have been set up for failure. And I would sincerely propose that this presentation be put on abeyance. Circulate the report which was presented by the minister for members to familiarize themselves with, and then have a meaningful discussions at a later date. I've got further points to make here. One of which is to broadly reflect on the high panel, Halima Motlanthe high panel observations on land tenure, especially on the teething issues that were raised in relation to communal land. I've got, secondly, another point in relation to when the portfolio committee discussed in 2019 the high-level panel report, at the same time received a legal opinion on Ingonyama Trust. Honorable Chair. And that legal opinion was presented before this committee. And the content of and the discussions of that legal opinion had got to do with the powers of the trust board and the role of the sole trustee, that is Isulo Samaba. And the two roles between the trust board and the trust itself, and what legal obligations each of the two has. And that discussions had not been brought to its final conclusion. It's an ongoing discussion. Thirdly, the third component of that was the role of the minister in the appointment of the Ingonyama Trust Board. So, for fear of divulging more on what I intended to contribute, to make as my contribution, for which I'm hesitant to do so, I propose, Honorable Chair, that this matter is put on abeyance. We are given the benefit to go through the presentation that has been presented by the minister, and then at a later date, come and discuss this matter meaningfully, and for us to make proper, guided and cogent interventions. For now, I don't see any report presented here. And I think as the last point, Honorable Chair, it will seem that the interministerial tax team hasn't done anything, hasn't achieved anything. And therefore, there's nothing for the minister to present here, other than to announce a process which is inconclusive, with the hope that the appointment of the board will conclusively bring to an end the work of the interministerial committee, for which I disagree with that. That this process start and end with the appointment of the board. Therefore, I propose that this matter be put on abeyance for further date. I'll further make contributions in the future if the meeting agree that this matter be put on abeyance. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Ntate Matiasa, the Honorable Mamum Babama, Honorable Mamum Babama.
Thank you very much, Chair. And good morning to yourself. Good morning to the Minister. All protocol observed. Chair, I am very worried, and I think I must really echo the sentiments of my colleagues in this, especially what Ntate Matiase has said. This is a very important matter. And to be given a report a few minutes before the meeting is not acceptable. I myself have not really had the time to go through the presentation and apply my mind to it. I would really ask of my colleagues that we insist on this matter being reserved for another time, even if it's on a Friday, whenever the minister is available. It is very rare that we have the minister herself coming in and doing a presentation. This is a very important opportunity for us to engage with her on a lot of issues around Ingonyama Trust. And the way this is being done now is really, you know, not giving us that opportunity at all. There are a lot of matters that need to be discussed around Ingonyama Trust, around the IMC itself, in terms of what it has done up to now, and specifically around the Ingonyama Trust and the Ingonyama Trust Board. Chair, I really feel that I will not be asking any questions. There are quite a number of questions that I could have asked, but I feel that we are being unfairly treated here. If you'll excuse us, Minister, I honestly feel that we're being unfairly treated as the members of the committee, and we are not being, you know, allowed to do our job properly the way we should. So, Chair, if you don't mind, I will reserve my comments for the next time that we meet around this, when the Minister is available. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mbabama. The Honorable Memasho. The Honorable Memasho.
She's struggling with network, Chair. She just called me.
Thank you, Honorable Tape. The Honorable Kruger.
Thank you, Chair, and sorry for talking a bit late. There I have also internet issues, but I'm covered by the previous speakers. Thank you, Chairperson, and a good morning to you and the Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kruger. The Honorable Akbar Briet. From that I've not recognized who may wish to give input. Honorable Ntate Montwedi. Honorable Montwedi. Honorable Chwete and Honorable Tape. You may go ahead.
Chairperson, you called us both. I'm not sure.
Yes,
which one to
please
start.
proceed, Honorable Chwete.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to the Minister, the Deputy Minister, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, and the members of the Portfolio Committee and officials of the department. And good morning to the board of the Ingonyama Trust that is present. Chair, I am not, I have questions to ask, But I'm of the view that since the majority of members are feeling strongly that we should defer the matter for Friday, I think we should do that. So that, Chair, we engaged properly on this issue. Furthermore, Chair, in the opening of the minister, she said there was a bit of a confusion on their side. Hence, she apologized for sending this, for availing this presentation that she was presenting to the committee. Pleading for forgiveness. Yes, it is not the first time. We accept the apology. The members feel that it must strongly be deferred for Friday. Can we allow that process, Chair? But it is the powers are vested upon you. That's all that I can say for now. Thank you, Chairperson.
Good morning, Chair. And good morning to the Minister, Deputy Ministers, and the ITB board. I see the Chair has just been kicked out of this platform. I'm struggling with network and I would have missed the Minister's opening remarks. But Chair, let me also weigh in to this discussion, looking at the matters, considering the issues that we have been bringing up about Ingonyama. I'm also of the view that we do justice to this item. We get the report, study the report, so that we are able to engage meaningfully. It will not help us to try and engage with the report that has just been presented without having really gone through it and studied it. It's not a secret, Chair, that issues on top of issues that we've been having, we requested that the department can brief us with governance issues. And there are many issues at play that we see weekly on Ingonyama. And we really want to scrutinize this report and make sure that we do justice in terms of empowering ourselves so that we are on par on what is happening and what are issues at play. Others, yes, may not be for our scope, but it is very important that the ITB that is accounting to us on issues of accountability where we are up to date. And we cannot shy away also from the issues that are on the public about it. So I would also agree with my colleagues that we put this one in abeyance for a later date, circulate the report, let's go through the report and make sure that we do justice to this item, because we don't want comebacks. Every meeting we have to request this, request that. Let's just clarify things once and for all so that we are for the department or the minister to deal with issues of ITB as she sees fit. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Mangadzi, the chairperson is kicked out of.
Thank you, Honorable Tapa. Honorable.
We can't hear you, Chair. Your network is not fine.
Chair, are you there? I'm trying also to move to a better spot. And it's only Chair that hasn't made his remarks on this item. Honorable Mandela.
He seems to have been kicked out of the system, Chair, Honorable.
Yeah, it will be very key that he...
Apologies, honorable members. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, we can now, Chair.
We can hear you, Chair.
No, sorry, I broke off when Honorable Kappe was coming back again after having given her input. And I have listened to your input, honorable members, that you would like us to set the session aside. And I have also seen the hand of the Honorable Minister, Omar Mutogo Didiza. I had seen between the Secretariat, honorable members, as well as the officials of the department, when we received the presentation on Friday, we did send correspondence to the presentation we were looking for, and it needed to be corrected. It's that the correction of that has only been effected this morning, and we received the presentation late. But we wanted to make sure that it was indeed the presentation that the committee was looking for in terms of the
Uphinde wakhawuka, Chair.
Chair, there he goes.
Metlape, maybe we should suggest that he stays put in one place. I don't know if he'll be able to.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Or else hand over. Yes, we can hear you now, Chair.
And stay on that spot,
Thank
Chair.
you. I try my level best to be in the same place. I haven't moved, but I think the network issue keeps going in and out. But that's what I was saying, honorable members, that we should then set aside this presentation. Can I recognize the honorable minister as she had her hand raised?
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members. And thank you, Chairperson, for the clarity that you have given about what happened in respect of the presentations. As indicated, our understanding was the request was for a report on the IMC, which was then circulated. So for Honorable Matias, there was no decoy. The presentation we made was what we believed was requested. Then there was clarity given afterwards as to what was required. And unfortunately, that report is what we're able to only circulate this morning. So it wasn't intentional that members are given supposedly what is regarded as not an actual report. And I do want to clarify, Chairperson and honorable members, there is no IMC on Ingonyama Trust. And as I've explained, not for the first time today, every time this matter has arisen, that clarity has been given. This was an interministerial task team set up by the president in 2019. And its purpose was to prepare for his meeting and the king of Amazulu, Inkosi Zwelithini kaBheki Zulu, at the time. However, there were matters in the environment, as I've explained in the introduction of the presentation, that related to the high-level panel report and the issues at the time that related to the issue arising out of the ANC conference on the expropriation without compensation, which further, as you know, became a recommendation that was presented by the EFF, amended by the ANC in Parliament at the time. I won't go to that detail. So what I sought to clarify, Chairperson, was to then say, when that interministerial task team met, they then resolved that the line function department must deal with Ingonyama Trust matters. So they never dealt with Ingonyama Trust matters because that was not their mandate. Their mandate was in respect of the meeting of the president. So I was giving a report of, following that decision, what then have we done? Honorable Masipa had asked who were the ministers of the IMT. It was late Honorable Member Jackson Tembu, Honorable Mchunu, Honorable Mkize, Honorable Zuma, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Honorable Didiza, and Honorable Mondli Kungubele. Those were the members of the interministerial task team. On the other matters, Chairperson, that has been raised, I will take your guidance whether we respond to them today or we respond when we now have to deal with the matters of Ingonyama Trust going forward. But I just thought it's important to give that clarity and then hear how you'd want to conclude the matter in order for us to then know how to move going forward, even on the issues and questions that were raised by other members. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mahmoud Didiza. We will set aside this presentation for a next available date and request the Secretariat to look into the earliest date possible, even if it's a Friday, to ensure that honorable members have ample time to deal with the issues centered around the interministerial committee that was looking into the matters of Ingonyama Trust Board. Honorable members, with that said, we will therefore move to the oversight report to Mpumalanga that we had. And allow me to thank the Honorable Minister, the officials of the department, the deputy ministers, for availing themselves for this meeting and do accept the challenges and the miscommunication that we may have had in the preparations to this meeting regarding this presentation. We will be able to engage with this presentation on the earliest next available date. Can I request the Secretariat to flight the presentation or the report of Mpumalanga oversight? Thank you, honorable members. The report of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development on an oversight to Mpumalanga province that took place from the 29th to the 31st of March 2023. I therefore bring it to the attention of the committee. We will go page by page, honorable members, and then go line by line when it comes to recommendations. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Page 19. Page 20. Honorable members, there are the recommendations of the committee. I will request the secretariat to enlarge that so it can be readable, as I would go through each line by line so that we are clear on what the recommendations of the committee are. Secretariat, please enlarge that. I've managed to do it on my side, so I will proceed, honorable members. Recommendations, and it reads as follows. Having interacted with the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, a provincial Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, and the provincial, let me correct that, honorable members, the Provincial Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs, and the Provincial Shared Services Center. Further, having visited projects and interacted with beneficiaries, and in view of the observation discussed above, the committee makes the following recommendations to the National Assembly for the attention of the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. 6.1, the department should refine its criteria for PERSI beneficiaries for submission to Parliament, and clearly it seems to have moved, honorable members, and clearly define the difference between the subsistence and smallholder farmer without linking it to profit, and also to account differences among commodities, e.g. crops versus poultry. As much as the department reported that PERSI support does not go beyond 1 hectare, some of the beneficiaries visited operated on 5 hectares and more. Submit to Parliament the PERSI monitoring and evaluation M&E plan and a detailed M&E report on PERSI, as well as a detailed report on all PERSI beneficiaries nationally. Develop a well-coordinated farmer training and skills development program to ensure that capacity building initiatives are implemented for subsistence and smallholder farmers, and ensure that the training provided is relevant to their needs. 6.4, honorable members, develop a program to strengthen intergovernmental relations IGR to prevent duplication of activities, to ensure proper consultation and collaboration with provincial departments when implementing programs in provinces, e.g. PERSI and FPSUs in particular, and linking of PERSI beneficiaries that show potential to operate at commercial scale with the Department of Small Business Development and other relevant departments and entities. 6.5, submit to Parliament a comprehensive report with specific information on the Thulamahashe and the Huntington FPSU, including the other 3 FPSUs that were not visited in Mpumalanga. The report should include, but not limited to, dates of commencement, to financial breakdown of costs since the establishment of the FPSUs to date, details of ownership or beneficiaries of the FPSUs, its management, all infrastructure and equipment bought, operational activities, and status of each FPSU. 6.6, to submit to Parliament an action plan with timelines on social facilitation and conflict resolution measures to address conflicts that were reported by farmers at both Thulamahashe and Huntington FPSU, as the conflicts threaten their effectiveness and sustainability. 6.7, provide an updated report on the implementation of the National Red Meat Development Program by the ARC and submit an action plan on how the NRMDP can be used to assist and benefit livestock farmers in Mpumalanga FMD protection zone who are unable to move their cattle outside the area, and the Schulzender livestock farmers who have a challenge with market access. 6.8, ensure that the department evaluates and assess the use of mentors and strategic partners, implementing agents in assisting farmers and submit a comprehensive report on all implementing agents that have been used by the department to implement and manage projects in Mpumalanga, province, and nationally, e.g., mezzanine. The report should include the terms of contract with the department, the agents, responsibilities, and all funds that have been disbursed to them, including the breakdown on the utilization of such funds. 6.9, submit to Parliament a detailed report with breakdown of the costs and work that has been done on the 100-kilometer red line fence that was visited by the delegation at Numbi Gate, including a plan to address the challenges associated with river crossing and broken fence to control the spread of FMD. 6.10, submit to Parliament a detailed plan on the biosecurity needs of the country in respect of personnel, infrastructure, funding, and other resources, including detail of what is currently available, shortfalls, and how the department plans to address the challenges associated with the shortfalls. 6.11, honorable members, provide a quarterly progress report on the repair work and the replacement of irrigation systems for all the farmers that have been affected by the February floods in Nkomazi local municipality. 6.12, submit an action plan detailing how the departments will resolve the challenges that were identified, e.g., water and market access, land for expansion, storage facilities, conflicts, etc., in all the projects visited by the Portfolio Committee in Mpumalanga Province. In addition, the action plan should comprehensively detail how the projects will be assisted and must include timeframes and an exit strategy for each project. The committee further recommends that the minister should ensure that DARDLEA 16.3 submit to Parliament on a quarterly basis progress on repairing the livestock dam at Schulzendal and the collaborative activities with the Department of Public Works to fix the access and infield roads that were damaged by the floods at Nkomazi local municipality. Honorable members, unless otherwise indicated, submit to Parliament within 3 months after the adoption of this report by the National Assembly a response to the recommendations with required action plans and reports as outlined. Honorable members, that is the report of the Portfolio Committee on the Mpumalanga oversight that we had. I therefore put this before the committee for consideration. Honorable members, any questions or input on the recommendations?
Yes, Chair.
You may proceed, Honorable Chweta.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, excuse me if I missed this point where we said there must be a clear indication, a clarity on the role of the strategic partners that the department is roping in on e-projects of the FSPU, especially in the pack houses. That one, Chair, we were clear, and maybe I missed it whilst you were reading along. I'm not sure if it's reflecting on the committee, the role of the strategic partner when it comes to the FSPU projects in Mpumalanga, and I'm not sure whether it appears on the report, the explanation of the millions that have been spent already, but there's no equipment on the site, especially the ones that we did not engage the department on. There was only one fuel tanker that was there that we were told it was delivered 2 days before our arrival. So we maybe I missed that one. That can we get a full report on the expenditure that was spent on this project and the role of a strategic partner? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Treasurer, that has been noted in the recommendations and has been effected. And I would also request honorable members, as we give input on what's towards the recommendations, you highlight exactly which recommendation we are speaking to, as they are pointed out there, so that we can effect change as we proceed. The content advisors and the secretariat are on the platform to be able to effect change, so that we can, at the end of this, be able to adopt the report. Any other input, honorable members, on the recommendations where you would want to effect change or make an extra submission?
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Kruger.
It's about the recommendations on PESI or PES. I mean, we were very surprised to see some of the potential or some of the beneficiaries, and it seems like that there was a lot of money paid out, but those money didn't end in the pockets of the beneficiaries. And we need some sort of a report. Where's the difference? What happened to the difference of the money in? And I can see there is a detailed report on. We asked for a detailed report, but maybe because it happened everywhere in other committees as well, where government spent money, but the money don't land into the pockets of the beneficiaries. So maybe we can add a recommendation that those officials that worked with the PESI projects, maybe we can do some lifestyle audits on them, just to see if their salaries and their lifestyle is working together. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kruger. Again, honorable members, please confine yourself to speaking directly to the recommendations that have been made, so that if you want to make additions, we can be able to accommodate you in that regard. 6.10 reads there, funding and other resources, including details of what is currently available, the shortfalls, and how the department plans to address the challenges associated with the shortfalls. That, Honorable Kruger, talks directly to what you are raising. Any other input, honorable members, you'd like to effect on the report on our oversight in Mpumalanga?
Chair?
Silent. Yes, Honorable Masipa.
Chair, I wasn't at the meeting, at the oversight. And I'm reading this 6.10 that states that submit to Parliament a detailed plan on the biosecurity need of the country in respect of personnel, infrastructure, funding, and other resources, including details of what is currently available, shortfalls, and how the department plans to address the challenges associated with the shortfall. But I think the point Honorable Kruger wants to bring about is what has been spent addressing that part. I don't think that this line is actually addressing that part. What has been spent previously and what has been achieved with the expenditure that has happened, because what you have seen there is not really worth the money that was allocated for the particular projects. I'm not sure if I missed the point that Honorable Kruger was making, but I think it was about what was spent on the project and what was the outcome of the expenses that were executed for those projects that had been visited. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ntate Masipa. Honorable members, we are happy to include another recommendation that speaks to it directly in terms of the funding that was made available and to which beneficiaries, as well as what were the outcomes. I think I will request the content advisor to include therefore another recommendation that speaks directly to the funding made available to PERSI beneficiaries. Any further input, honorable members, on the recommendations of the Mpumalanga Oversight Report?
Honorable Chair.
Yes, and Dr. Matiase.
Well, my contribution is foregrounded by what Honorable Kruger said. And I'm also happy to welcome your intervention that there will be an additional recommendation. Just to strengthen that additional recommendation, Honorable Chair, on PERS.
Yes.
I propose that, Honorable Chair, that just to strengthen that additional recommendation, beneficiaries who shown interest to the invitation to apply for this financial help, who were eventually helped, by government, we must recommend that same people must once more be assisted with the same or even more financial help. The same amounts or even more, so that their initiatives, their projects can be sustainable. With the little help that they received, it was just but a drop in the ocean. I think my observation through the oversight is that we are really being playful. We have been playful with the kind of support and help we want to extend to our people. 10,000 rand, 5,000 rand here, 3,000 rand there, is really, we have been playful. And this is how the citizens sees government. So this is a playful government. I think we need to recommend more funding for these people. If finances allows, perhaps extend that to even more other people. But my recommendation will be limited to those that have applied before and received something. We go back and recommend to Parliament that additional funding should be extended to them. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ndate Mantias. I didn't come across any of the beneficiaries that said that this is a drop in the ocean and that they do not appreciate the support they've received from government and from the department. Many of our beneficiaries were very grateful that they were able to be identified by the department and be supported. They did point out, nevertheless, how they would need further support in terms of infrastructure. We've seen some examples of the beneficiaries that are truly excelling. The one was the lady that we visited that was running a poultry, who's doing very well and needed support in terms of infrastructure. But I think for me, the one that will always be standing out is the three-generation family of the granddaughter, the daughter-in-law, as well as the grandmother that was producing groundnuts, who has truly appreciated having been supported for the second time by the department. And although she's also looking for infrastructure support to be able to house and process groundnuts. So I think, honorable members, having considered the input that has been made by yourselves, we will look into more funding being made available for the perceived beneficiaries if budget allows. Thank you, honorable members. Any further input on the recommendations? Silence means consent.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members.
My hand was up, Comrade Chair.
Honorable Kapa.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. My hand was up.
What recommendation would you want to come in?
First of all, let me apologize because I think I might have missed this one. I'm asking for your indulgence because I missed the part where you remember that we had an issue on FMD where we had a concern that despite that those people never had any outbreak, but they still had their conditions of unmarketability of their animals. I might have missed this, Chair, but you'll pardon me if I do that, if that has happened. But I was thinking maybe if if it was not highlighted, maybe we should say something because we had a concern about that situation on that belt. Thank you, Chair. Please forgive me for missing any part.
Thank you, Honorable Kapa. To ensure that that is looked into on the recommendations we have made in terms of FMD, as we did indeed get a strong sense from the farmers that they've not had any outbreak of FMD in their area for over 20 years. And yet they were still limited within the red line zone and could not be able to sell their animals in the market. So let us consider that, honorable members, as another recommendation. That is all on the report on our oversight in Mpumalanga, honorable members. I would therefore ask for a mover for the adoption of the report on our oversight in Mpumalanga. Any mover? Honorable Kapa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I, Ndumiso Tapa, move for the adoption of the report of the Portfolio Committee in Mpumalanga. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kapa, for moving for the adoption of the Mpumalanga Oversight Report with further additions. Can we have a second, honorable members?
Yes, Chairperson.
Go ahead, Honorable Chwete.
I second, Chair, for the adoption of the Mpumalanga report with additions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chwete, for seconding the adoption of our Mpumalanga report with further additions. Honorable members, that concludes the Mpumalanga Oversight Report. We'll now move to our minutes of the 5th of May, 2023.
Chair.
Ntate Masipa.
Chair, I just want to bring something to your attention, and obviously it links to the FMD issues of Mpumalanga. I just thought if you allow me to bring to the members' attention.
We're dealing with the minutes now. We'll do that after the minutes in Ntate Masipa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We proceed with the agenda of the day, honorable members. Minutes of the 5th of May, 2023, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Thank you, honorable members. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 5th of May, 2023, 5th of March, 2023? Sorry, 5th of May, 2023. Can we have a mover for the adoption?
Moses Wachwete, I move for the adoption of the minutes of 5th of May, 2023.
Thank you, Honorable Chwete. Moves for the adoption of the minutes. And we have a second, honorable members.
Honorable Chair.
Ntate Masipa.
Noko Masipa, I move for the adoption of the I move to second the adoption of the minutes of the 5th May 2023. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ntate Masipa, for seconding the adoption of the minutes. Honorable members, any matters arising? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. With no matters arising, honorable members, the minutes of the 5th of May 2023 have been duly adopted. Can we move to the next set of minutes? Another set of minutes, Secretariat. There we go, honorable members, the minutes of the 16th of May, 2023. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8, honorable members. Thank you, honorable members. Any mover for the adoption of the minutes of Memahlo?
Thank you, Chair. I am here moving for the adoption of the minutes. With due respect, so we are having technical problem here with this iPhone today. I'm moving for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable Memahlo moves for the adoption of the minutes. Honorable members, can we have a seconder?
Chair, mine gets a clap. I move to second the adoption of this set of minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kape. Second, the adoption of the minutes of the 16th of May 2023. Any matters arising, honorable members? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Thank you, honorable members. With no matters arising, the minutes of the 16th of May have been duly adopted. Move to our next set of minutes, honorable members. Minutes of the 19th of May 2023, honorable members. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Thank you, honorable members. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 19th of May 2023?
Hello.
Honorable Chair, please proceed.
Hello, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Moves for the adoption of the minutes. Can we have a second, honorable members?
Chair Tlhape, I second the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Tape. Seconds the adoption of the minutes of the 19th of May 2023. Any matters arising, honorable members? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Thank you, honorable members. With no matters arising, the minutes of the 19th of May 2023 have been duly adopted. Our last set of minutes, honorable members, and last item on our agenda being the minutes of the 23rd of May 2023. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Thank you, honorable members. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 23rd of May 2023?
Chair,
Go ahead, Honorable Tape.
Mekete Tlhape, I move that we adopt the minutes of the 23rd May as a true reflection of community business on that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tape moves for the adoption of the minutes of the 23rd of May. Can we have a second now, honorable members?
Chair, I second the minutes of the 23rd of May. Thank you.
And Nkosi Babama seconds the adoption of the minutes. Any matters arising, honorable members? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. With no matters arising, honorable members, the minutes of the 23rd of May have been duly adopted. Thank you, honorable members. That was the last item on our agenda. Honorable Masipa wanted to speak to FMD on the benefit of honorable members. Yes.
Sorry, Chair, there's one more, the last one, the 12th of May.
You must
Apology.
run with the dates, Secretariat. If you give us the minutes of the 23rd, then we are certain that there's no other minutes past that. So please ensure that you move accordingly. Honorable members, the last set of minutes being the 12th of May, 2023, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 12th, honorable members?
Chair, Manketse Tlhape, I move for the adoption of the minutes of 12 May as true reflection of committee business on the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tlhape. Honorable members, can we have a seconder?
Chair, is Honorable Masipa. I move to second the minutes of the 12th May 2023 as a true reflection of what was debated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ntate Masipa. Honorable members, any matters arising? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. With no matters arising, honorable members, the minutes of the 12th of May 2023 have been duly adopted. Honorable Ntate Masipa, you wanted to talk to honorable members regarding FMD. Proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, colleagues, for this opportunity. Colleagues, we have got a challenge with regards to FMD, obviously, in the country, and we are not able to export any of our animals out of the country as such. So the matter that was brought to our attention was with regards to our trade agreements with our neighboring countries, like Namibia and Botswana, who are able to move their livestock into the country, with no problem. And as such, obviously, us not being able to export to their country, they are also putting pressure on the prices in the country. So the figures that I have got is that, we have seen a drop of about 12 rand a kilogram on the cows. So what our farmers are getting is about 2,500 for winners, which is a very, very low price. And the gentleman that brought this matter to my attention also indicated that on his farm alone, he has seen a drop of about 1 million on the cows and 400,000 rands on the lambs. So this is quite a big number, colleagues. And also what was brought to my attention, and I will share with you the article, that Botswana is now importing.
Honorable Ntate Masipa, what would you like the committee to do? Are you bringing this as an item for discussion in the committee?
Chair,
you can easily do that by a letter to the chairperson, and then we can process that. But I don't want to delay honorable members when the meeting and the agenda of the committee is done. So please clarify as to what you would like us to do.
Yeah, Chair, I thought, we still have time. We did not really finish them. I mean, we still have got an hour to go. I'm just worried that, you are just pushing me out of the way, because the items were discussed.
the agenda of the committee is done. There's something you want to put to the committee. Therefore, I'm enabling you and I'm asking you, what do you want the committee to bring this matter as an item in our other programs of the committee so that we can take that to consideration? Thank you.
But Chair, I was getting there, but you got in between before I come to that point. That's why I am protesting, because, you know, you just got in between my preamble. So yes, basically, you know, I think we need to discuss this, bring it in our next our committee meeting, so that, you know, we can really engage the departments around the FMD status, and as to how are they dealing, obviously, with these issues of the imports of livestock or livestock products, while we are not able to export, and obviously, you know, pressure on prices for our farmers in the country. Thanks, Chair. That's all I wanted to really bring.
Thank you, Dr. Masika. That's why I was wanting to capture exactly what you want us to do as a committee. Please send a letter in that so that I can have it motioned within the management committee, and we will be able to bring that into the program of the committee's work. Thank you for that. Honorable members, thank you for having attended the meeting. The meeting stands adjourned. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very
Enkosi kakhulu, Qhengeba, enkosi. Thank you, honorable members. Have a great one.
thank you.
Have a great week ahead, colleagues. Bye.